How's it going, everyone? Data here, and welcome back to the San Jose Sharks franchise mode, episode number 19, headed into the 2027 draft and off-season with your Stanley Cup champion, San Jose Sharks. In the last one, in our 35th year in franchise history and our 5th year at the helm of the franchise, the Sharks went all the way, taking down the Kings in 5, the Flames in 5, the Avalanche in 4, and the Hurricanes in 5 in a rematch of the 2025 Stanley Cup final to win the 2027 Cup. 2 Stanley Cup finals in the last 3 years, a President's Trophy and a Stanley Cup in 2026-27, and of course, some ridiculous performances in the postseason. Conn Smythe went to Connor Bedard because of the Stanley Cup final glitch, but I think in our own personal record book, we can go ahead and give it to Pavel Buchnevich, who had 28 points in 19 games. Bedard 26, Lucius 24, Hurdle 21, Drouin and Eklund both with 20. That's 2, 4, 6 point per game plus players. Burakovsky, a trade deadline acquisition, had 17 points in 19 games. He was incredible. Glass 12, Lind 9. Scrolling down the list here, we see great plus minuses from Pickering, from Rodin. Carlson, 5 points in 9 games, get his Stanley Cup. The captain, Logan Couture, gets his cup. He's not here anymore because he's retired, but he goes out with a ring on his finger. And of course, the goaltending was strong as Lindbergh kind of faltered a little bit, and Ullmark picked up the pace. 12-2-0 is his record with 1 shutout, a .918 save percentage, and 2.49 goals against average. So it was an incredible postseason. We just melted our competition. But now headed into the offseason, we have a ton of questions, more than I thought we would have had, and so many permutations, a lot of different scenarios being played out, huge discussions being had over on the Discord server. The major questions being, okay, we have a ton of money headed into this offseason. We're going to have, let's see, $31.31 million to play with. Burakovsky could get re-signed, but we just got him as a deadline piece. Bouchard, Gru, Carlson, Kniazev, Pickering, Bystedt, a lot of names that won't cost a lot of money. We'll get who we want to get re-signed, but then that'll allow us to make a huge splash in free agency if we want to. But the lineup is pretty stacked in terms of present day talent and future prospects. We don't want to muddy things up too much, spend all our money when we have it now, and then we don't have it and we need it later on when we need to extend our younger players. So a lot of things to think about, and thankfully the assistant general managers had a lot to say. Now, before we head into the comments, I will highlight that I believe some of them mentioned pending free agents, so I'll just go ahead and show you those. The biggest name out there being Quinn Hughes. If he were to reach free agency, many people saying that we should go all in on him, and we have to make some defensive moves as a result, obviously. But Quinn Hughes, a huge piece in terms of simulation ability. 67 points last season. He's been getting 50 plus, 70 some point seasons. He is a simulation beast, a franchise mode legend. We had him back in NHL 20. We haven't had him in a while, so I'd be open to getting him in terms of reusing players. I like to keep like franchise pillar type players off of my teams for at least a couple games. We haven't had him since NHL 20, so we stayed away in 21, we stayed away in 22. Now in 23, I'd be open to getting him, but not necessarily going after him unless it really made sense. So I won't discuss that too much until July 1st, because if he doesn't make free agency, then it'll be a big waste of time. If he does make it to free agency, I will present arguments for and against him, but at the moment, I won't go too deeply into that possibility. So starting it off with, as always, the novel From Cheating Heel, skimming through this one. What a wild ride, and what a way to leave for guys like Couture and Carlson. Shame we couldn't make it happen for others like Vlasic. That first line killed it. What a season for these three. That first line being Lucius, Bedard, and Buchnevich. And of course, the top 6 was great too. Drouin, everybody else. I'll stop there though. Great job from GM Data again, but there's no rest for the wicked, and we now have to look toward next year already, and we have a lot of decisions to make. Now that we've won, I guess it would be time to look towards the future, as we have a lot of 32-year-old plus players. So this team will look a lot different in 2 or 3 years. Going younger will be very important going forward, because of course we have guys like Bedard, Lucius, Rodin, Kalinin. Those guys are the pillars of our franchise, but we have a lot of surrounding pieces which are aging. Kalinin, by the way, what a postseason for him. He hasn't made his NHL regular season debut yet, but he was a big piece in the postseason. Didn't get into him too much. But back to the comment here. Burakovsky, Gru, and Carlson are probably all gone. Bushnevich, Drouin, Hurdle, Lindell will all need to be replaced in 1 to 3 years. So we need to be mindful of this during the draft, trades, and or signing younger free agents accordingly. We'll see what happens with Larry Tanguay, a prospect who hasn't really grown too much. I'd let Ullmark walk and bring Hornqvist up. I know we definitely don't want to have two elite prospects, Hornqvist and Habschied, fighting over the crease in the AHL. But at the same time, he's a 74 overall right now, so unless he grows to like 78 plus, we'll likely try to bring Ullmark back on a 1-year deal. We'll keep that in mind. Looking at current UFAs, we're considering Quinn Hughes. If we did, we'd have to trade out maybe Kniazev, Tanguay, a pick, etc., 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 etc. Those will be thoughts we go into later on. Potential of how the lines would look if we were to make some of those moves. That, we'd still be a contending team, and we'd have tons of money to patch holes with at the deadline if we have to. Our new top pick or prospect that we get by trading could replace Drouin in a few years. Then we replace Hurdle, Bushnevich. So we're thinking down the road, very much down the road, and I love it. But at the same time, we got to try and repeat right now, right? But it's very true that we can't just have the future spring up on us. We have to be planning for it, and I appreciate that from Cheating Heel. Enjoy the offseason, buddy. Go Sharks. Very much appreciated. Thank you, my friend. Ryan commenting, those pre-Stanley Cup final game speeches from Data always send chills down my spine. I love making them, and they're always better on the live streams, so I can't wait till we get into some of those towards the end of the series. What a run, buddy. Well done. The Latvian locomotive seems more than ready. Boris Kalinin. Can't wait to get him in the lineup. Super interested to see what he would do with the +5 he gets with Rodin, so that'll be great to see them getting chemistry. Ullmark's lovely playoff performance kind of saved our goalie situation here. Assuming he can resume a starter role that gives us the freedom to give Hornqvist a taste of the NHL action while still having good old Lindbergh to back up Linus. So good considerations in terms of whether we have growth or not, we could have a backup plan. For defense, I think with Carlson leaving, we should sign a partner for Lindell, and I'll get into whether or not Carlson will be leaving later on. I obviously like Rodin and Kalinen's +5, and I like the shelter Bouchard and the third pair minutes give Pickering, so I favor the second and third pair of the playoffs remaining intact. Awesome vid Data. Thank you, Ryan. So I'll get into that later on. Much of whether or not Carlson comes back will depend on Quinn Hughes, because I'm not sold on Evan Bouchard, but we are about a year away from Kivi Haru being in our top 4D, so I'd consider Erik Karlsson maybe on a 1-year stopgap contract, but again, it all depends on what happens in the rest of the NHL, just a lot of scenarios at play right now. Next comment coming from Aiden, who says, unbelievable postseason. I don't know what else to say. You've done a great job with this team, Data. And how about Boris Kalinin getting his first little bit of NHL action? Similar to Cale Makar in 2019. Yes, absolutely. Ullmark came through big, and I like that tandem between him and Lindbergh. I think Hornqvist is still another year away. I think I agree on that unless we see a big jump of growth. Carlson and Couture finally get their cup, and it was well deserved. I'd honestly keep Carlson because he still produces. I agree with that. He's a good simulation defenseman. But with guys making the jump, I could understand letting him walk. I agree with that as well. Other than that, you do you, Data. Really can't steer this team in the wrong direction. Let's go for back-to-back. Awesome episode and filled with excitement. Go Sharks! Thank you for all that, Aiden. Next comment coming from Aaron, who says, great job, Data. The San Jose Sharks are Stanley Cup champs. Awesome to say, even if it's still just in a video game. Hey, that's what we're all here for, right? Last episode, I said you have the Midas touch, and boy, was I right. Well done on knowing when to make the goalie switch and who to sub in for EK65. Gotta make those decisions on the fly. Gotta pat myself on the back sometimes. Love to see the real captain go out with the cup, Logan Couture, even if EA glitch robbed him of touching it. We know he still got it. Now looking forward to the draft, I have some thoughts. I like the idea of either trading up to get one of the top 4 Ds or top 6 forwards, or just trading down, so essentially not staying where we are. It shouldn't cost much to move up 5 to 10 picks and grab one of them. I would go with whoever is closest to NHL ready. If trading down, I would try to get a second round pick for this season and a top pick from rounds 2 to 4 in the next year. Absolutely. Now on who to draft, there are some suggestions here that I went ahead and watch listed. For the re-sign phase, I would sign Allmark to a 2 to 3 year deal going as high as 3.5 per. He earned it with his playoff run, and I don't think we could find better in free agency. I agree, but I'm not sure if we'd commit to him that long just with our level of goalie prospects in our system. I would also sign Burakovsky to a 2 to 3 year extension if you can get him for around 5 mil or less. Burakovsky's interesting, but at the same time, I wouldn't say he's a number one priority. We have Bouchard growing who needs ice time. We have other younger players. Burakovsky at an 87 overall on the third line might be a bit of a luxury. And, he came to San Jose. We got him at the deadline. He did exactly what we asked him to do. He got his ring. It probably makes sense that he walks now as opposed to signing to stay as a third liner. As for free agency, I would say the only thing our team is missing would be that 90 plus overall top D-man. If Quinn Hughes is there, I would send him maybe 6 years as he is 27 years of age. Would be expensive, but if we want to repeat as Cup champs, it might be worth it. Last, some X-Factor thoughts. We would give some to Drouin, maybe even to Allmark. Lindbergh, not so much maybe, but we will consider X-Factor additions at the end of this episode, so thank you for adding them, Aaron. Looking forward to the next episode and what moves you will make to try and repeat. Thank you kindly. Very well-balanced thoughts, and I think we can get on board for those. So I think that's just about it for the YouTube comments. Over in the Discord server, there was a ton of discussion, like dozens and dozens and dozens of discussion messages being exchanged between myself and the assistant general managers. I'm going to leave them out for the moment because, again, it'll depend on things. We were discussing the possibility of Quinn Hughes, the possibility of a few other trades come July 1st, so I won't discuss those just yet. I think all we need to really keep note of right now is that Burakovsky is likely walking. As tempting as it would be to keep him, I'm not sure if it fits realism, plus it kind of clogs up our system. To sign him, let's say he wants 3 years, he wouldn't want to do 1 or 2. 3 years at like 5.5 to keep him as a third liner when he would be easily a top 6 guy anywhere else, and we'll have young guys coming up in the system, and he'll be 35 at the end of that contract. As great as he was on this team, I think he did exactly what he was supposed to do. I think as unfortunate as it is to let an 87 overall walk, I think that was the consensus in the Discord server. Pat saying let Burakovsky walk, he did what he came to do. Derek saying that an 87 overall third liner seems more like a luxury than anything else. Debrowskiego agrees Burakovsky was a good rental. Think about it like Kemper and Colorado. He did what he needed to do and left. So I think we're likely letting him walk unless something really crazy happens. Never say never in an off-season episode. But I think as of now, that's the plan. For Evan Bouchard, I'm going to qualify him. He's not asking for outrageous numbers. We could qualify him, get him for less, but whether or not he comes back will depend on the free agent market. Everyone else, and Erik Karlsson, we can always just get him in free agency. We'll probably let him walk for the time being. Everyone else will get taken care of after the draft. Speaking of the draft, we will have the 32nd overall pick, which seems to be some top 9 forwards. So that's why I get what the comment was saying previously about we'd want to move up a bit or down a bit because top 9 would not be ideal. Some top 6 forwards are available, some top 4 Ds are available in the mid-20s. But someone I would really like to get if the pick is available is this player Ranta, Samu Ranta. Not only is he medium elite at 9th overall, but he's 17 years of age and NHL ready, similar to Owen Nolan. 3 goals, 15 assists, 18 points in an A-plus league through 56 games. This tells me this guy is, well, the NHL ready is what told me his overall, but this confirms to me that his overall is likely in that 77 to 80 overall range, which would be great value for his age and where he's getting drafted. A-plus shooting, A-plus puck skills. This could be a steal of a pick without having to trade up for like a 3rd overall pick. That definitely wouldn't make as much sense as Stanley Cup champions, but to move up from 32 to 9 and give that team whatever they're lacking, whatever, maybe it's a forward, a defenseman, a goalie prospect, something, I think that does make sense. So if that pick is available, we'll definitely be looking for it, but I'm not going to force trades that aren't there. I never do. Aside from that, there's some other players that I pinned throughout the draft class that have value in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, etc., so you'll see those later on. But without further ado, I think we're ready to hop into the 2027 draft. We know there's going to be a franchise player going 1st overall, so that'll be interesting to the Seattle Kraken. We'll be seeing them very much in the Pacific Division. So Seattle does not want to trade their pick, obviously. Does 8 or 9? Do they want? Okay, 6, 8, and 9. Okay, so we could trade for 8. I don't know if I want to risk it at 9. We could trade for 8 and try to get Samu Ranta if he's still there at 8. I don't think I'd want to trade for 6. So, if he's at 8, I will try to make the trade happen. Let's go ahead and start simulating towards that pick. First overall, was it Desmond Beck? Was that his name? Darcy Beck, Mr. Darcy. 5-star shooting sniper, medium franchise, 17 years of age. My goodness, Darcy Beck. We'll have to be dealing with him for years to come. They win the draft lottery and pick first overall. Hopkins, medium elite centerman, goes to the Jets. Medium elite center going to the Red Wings. Medium elite left wing power forward going to the Kings. A high top 6, 77 overall going to the Stars. High top 6, 65 overall going to the Blackhawks. And Lorentz, high top 6 going to the Vegas Golden Knights. So that Samu Ranta still available here at 8, excuse me. Let's see if we can make a deal happen with the Canadiens. La Canadien Montréal, can I give you pick number 32? We have a lot of picks. There's good value late in this draft. I pinned, so these 3/6 will be some like low top 6 guys that I want to get. I wouldn't mind trading you pick number 78 in the 3rd round. And let me see what else you would like. We have a lot of defense in the system. This guy Mikola, 56 overall, 19 years of age. Kari Mikola, power forward, 5th round pick. Let's try throwing him into this deal. A decent prospect for you. A 1st, a 3rd, and a low elite prospect. Montreal, what do you say to this? Aren't where you need to be, but I think the trade value is quite close. Plus, they want to trade the picks, so it shouldn't be too far off here. I'll throw you someone who's unsigned, 19 years of age. Is it Oscar Pettersson? Yeah, he was a 7th round pick, another power forward. So we'd be drafting a power forward here. Can we trade you 2 prospects, a 1st and a 3rd, quite close to fair value? That means I'll just toss in one more pick, a late pick next season, and this should be good to go. I think it's fair for all parties involved. The Canadiens aren't a great team. They get volume in terms of prospects and picks, and we get to take the player that we have high on our list. Montreal, trade accepted, adding a 6th next season. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup à Kent Hughes pour ça. And now with the 8th overall selection, very excited to have this one. NHL ready. This could change things now because NHL ready could mean 77 to 79, 80. We probably could have traded one more pick down, but that's all right. It could mean like a guy like Larry Tongue who never grows, or it could be a guy who maybe pushes Burakovsky out of the lineup maybe like in a couple seasons from now. So from Finland, 17 years of age, 6'1" power forward, similar to Owen Nolan. Very excited to see his attributes, so let's head up to the podium. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your congratulations on our first Stanley Cup victory in 35 years. With the 8th overall selection in the 2027 NHL entry draft, the San Jose Sharks are proud to select from Mikelin Jukurit, Samu Ranta. Welcome to San Jose Bello. You are 82 overall? What? 82 overall? 5-star show? What? Are you kidding me? Samu Ranta. 17 years of age, back at you, no contest, relentless, big rig, 5-star shooting, medium elite, 82 overall, out of the draft at 8th overall. This guy could be a 1st or 2nd overall pick, and we get him at 8th. Hats off to the scouts. Hats off to the scouts. Shout out to Doggy. I know he said to draft him as well in the comments. Oh my goodness, what a draft pick. Well, there's our 3rd line left wing right now. There's the answer to our Burakovsky question. Burakovsky's definitely going to walk, and Ranta is our future replacement in the top 6. Oh my goodness. I was saying last episode how proud I am to have built such a strong team that won a Stanley Cup without any generated 5-star shooting prospects. But now that we're getting into year number 6 next season and the core is aging, the NHL is becoming more and more populated by these generated prospects. So we're going to need one sooner rather than later. So I'm happy to get one now at a cheap price relatively, plus at 8th overall, as opposed to trading up for like a top pick, which wouldn't be super realistic. Montreal wasn't as high on him. We did some drafting over in Liga with that team I could barely even pronounce the name of. Hopefully he's a diamond in the rough, a guy who maybe some scouts had at 2, 3, 4, but he somehow dropped to 8th, and the Sharks said, we need him. Montreal, here's a 1st, a 3rd, a 6th, 2 low elite prospects, or whatever their potentials were, and there you go. Samu Ranta, welcome to San Jose Bello. Oh my goodness. And the guy who was ranked 7th is still here. He's going to go to Anaheim at 10. Is that it? Yeah, Lindbergh. High top 6, Per Lindbergh from Huve Siete Ot. I'm still pronouncing that wrong, I think, but HV71. The Ducks get him? Not even! Can the Wild get him at 11, dropping from 7? Not even! Can the Capitals get him at 12? My goodness, high top 6, 64 overall. Ranked 7th, drops all the way to 12th. Whew, how about that? Okay, so our next pick is at pick number 46. I'm going to go ahead and sim to that pick because there's no one between now and then that I'd really want to move up for. Just a lot of medium top 6 guys. So I'm very content with Ranta. The rest of this first round, we see medium top 6s going, medium top 4Ds, medium elite Furtak, Carcillo, high top 9, yikes. All the same player basically. There's no difference between 20 and 30 here, or at least like 20 and 25. Medium top 9s going at the end of the round. There's that guy Simon Burke who would have been there. So the Canadians ended up flipping that 32nd overall pick to the St. Louis Blues, it looks like. Top 6D, top 9 forward, yeah, no one interesting here. Some top 6 forwards are going to pop up here, yeah. Top 6 back-to-back. Now at the 46th overall selection, we have another top 6. Ooh, and he's a gem. Philippe Geffrion. Ben, bienvenue, mon ami. We have other top 6s out here. Geffrion is 3 years away. 3 years away. Everyone's 3 years away. Is that it? 4 years away for that guy. Yeah, 4 years away for the guy who might be medium elite. I think I'll go for this guy. It makes sense. He's the highest ranked. He's a gem. He is 3 years away, but that makes sense for a second round guy. Ben, Philippe Geffrion from the St. John Sea Dogs of the QMJHL. Bienvenue à l'équipe, mon ami. On est fiers de vous repêcher. 64 overall. We'll take it. Nous sommes fiers de vous repêcher. I think that's what I should have said. My apologies. No context, superstar ability. We'll take it. Why not? Two-way forward who is not really gifted anywhere in particular. Should be a regular average prospect for us with top 6 potential. Thank you very much. I'll take that every day of the week. Bienvenue, Philippe. I was thinking about Lewis, who's a 67. I was thinking about drafting him, but we see that fate didn't have it for us. I wasn't going to move up 2 spots just for a guy who's also medium top 6. Yeah, he's a few overall higher, but I think I'm content with going with Geffrion there at 46. Next pick at 65. Anyone we want between now and then. Definitely some tempting options there. Top 6 forward, a couple top 4D. Low elite. Ooh, I'd like to get Lease. Yeah, that's true. Lease, Desmond Lease. Lease, whatever you want to call him. He is 3 years away, low elite defensive defenseman. Yeah, I would like to go ahead and get him at 56 if we could trade for a few picks from now. And then we'll end up passing on top 4Ds and low top 6 forwards, low top 4Ds in exchange for the low elite defenseman. So I think that's fair. 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's try going to Vancouver and getting the 55th overall selection. I have no problem trading late picks from future years because we'll always recoup them in future trades. So how about 65 and a 7th just to move up? Yeah, there we go, to move up 10 picks. Thank you, Vancouver. So here's a 7th next season for your troubles. Pick number 55. Thankfully, he's still there, and we'll go ahead and draft him. Desmond the Bear, welcome. Low elite potential from the Brandon Wheat Kings of the WHL. 17 years of age. We're going young, and he is 64 overall. Okay, that's pretty solid. Sometimes you get guys like this who have the potential, but 50-some overall. And he has the X factors. Shutdown, back at you, quick pick, ice pack bouncer. My goodness, that's a good selection. Thank you very much. Bang, garde-moi ça. How about over here, top 6, top 4? Yep. Zaitsev, okay. Wow, I'm loving this draft so far. Next pick is at pick number 76. I think I'm going to go ahead and sim to it. I'm very happy with this draft so far. I guess that trade didn't want to go through. Top 9, high starter, top 6, medium elite goalie. Yeah, we had considered him, but there's another medium elite goalie that we'll take later on. Plus, we have a lot of goalies in our system already, or we have enough, I want to say. So that's why I said I may as well just use a later pick on a goalie as opposed to a higher pick. So right here at 76th overall, no one's really speaking to me. No, not really. No one's really speaking to me at all. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and trade down for somewhere around pick number 95 to get this guy, Kelvin Reynolds. And there you go. This is how you recoup picks. I'll move down 20 spots. You give me a 5th and a 7th next season. No? Okay, all right. I tried to see what I could do. Can I get a 6th and a 7th next season? If it costs a 7th to move up 10, how about a 6th and a 7th for 20? Nope. Just the 6th? Still no. Ridiculous. 7th this year and 7th next year. Come on now. Trade still rejected. Okay. Just the 7th. What? Reject. Sweeten it just a touch. I'm moving down 20 picks. You want the pick. I want to trade you the pick. No, that's crazy. I'm just taking my man then. Or I could just trade to another team. that wants to trade their pick. Okay, Carolina, you lost it. You don't get it then. I'll reach a little bit on my guy, and I'll make a deal with the Avalanche then. Come on now, a 7th round pick to move up 20 selections. Give it to me. Just a bit low for us. Pfft, ridiculous. I'll just reach and take my guy then at 76. What a joke. There you go, buddy. I believe in you. Kelvin, get in here. Welcome to the organization. Looks like a bit of a wonky prospect, perhaps, but the potential is worth it. Medium top 6, 59 overall at 19 years of age. Not too wonky. No, just the shooting that was a bit, the accuracy's higher than the powers. But no, we'll take him, if anything, just for the trade value in terms of his potential. Simulating now to pick number 120, top 4D, fringe starter. No one's really speaking to me here. Yeah, I didn't really have anybody pinned around this point either. There's good deep picks, but in the middle rounds, no one incredible, I have to say. Medium starter here, Clifford Letowski, 5 years away now. There's a medium elite goalie that I'm going to be looking at in the 200s. No one's really speaking to me here. So I think we'll just go ahead and I might even trade the next pick that we have. Might trade the next 2 picks that we have. Anyone between that next pick we have and then the pick after that? Not even, eh? No, so I think I'm going to trade our next 2 picks. Florida, can I get a 3rd from you next season for a 4th and a 5th today? Probably not. Hey, okay. 4th and a 5th this year for a 3rd next year. Thank you, Florida. The worst team in the league, I think, this past season. We'll take it. We're going to sim all the way to pick number 68. Not a lot of picks for us to make because we just want to get some guys at the end of the draft class. Sorting by potential. I had a few guys pinned. We got our big guys at the start. Now we'll take a few guys at the end here. Just the guys that I've pinned, even though they'd be reaches technically. I'm not going to trade 6ths for 7ths and break my head. Michael Miele or Miele. Technically, I pronounce it Miele, so I'm going to call him that. From the Gatineau Olympique, 19 years of age, 5 years away, but medium elite goalie. So we don't really need the goalies, but I'll take it for the trade value. I don't want to ruin the NHL of their goalie prospects, so I try to leave the bigger guys at this point, but I'll take someone late like that. Good value selection. Next pick at 184. I think it's 3 6th round picks that we have, and then that's it for the draft. So Miele is one of the picks. Who else did I have pinned over here? I have a few guys pinned, I think. Yeah, so we have one guy 3-bar low elite, and then guaranteed low top 6s. So, oof, it's tough. Who do I take here out of these guys? Valette, McElney, Sundin's 20, so I'll leave him. Let me take this guy first. Amrit, is that his name? Yeah, Amrit Valette from the Sioux Greyhounds, excuse me. 49 overall, but low top 6. At 192, I'll go ahead and take McElney. I think I'll just leave Sundin and Miknov. I'll just go ahead and make those 2 selections and call it there. From the Kitchener Rangers, Ricky McElney, welcome, buddy. 49 overall as well, low top 6. Again, just for the trade value. Sometimes they become something, sometimes they don't. But I'd rather take him than some AHL top 6 guy. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. What a draft I have to say. Getting the NHL, I was fairly confident that we could trade up to get Ranta. But to be an 82 overall at 8th overall, that's extremely rare. The gem in Philippe Geffrion, the low elite potential in Lees, Damian Lees there at 55. I'm very content with that draft. Very, very content. So now that that's done, we can advance a day. Let's see what the screens are going to pop up for us. Now we have some scouts we got to re-sign. No coaches to re-sign, thankfully. So I'll take care of the scouts, and then we'll get into the re-sign phase. Alright, so the scouts have been taken care of, and now we're into the re-sign phase. Headed into the next season after this one, the 2028 offseason, we'll need big deals for Lucius, big deals for Drouin. So that's why, although we have the money today, and we will have the money down the road, these guys won't eat up $30 million, we got to be mindful of the money that they will be asking for. So Andrei Burakovsky today, he wants 3 years at 7.825. Yeah, not going to happen. It was less late before, now it's even more. So Burakovsky, thank you for what you gave us coming to San Jose at the deadline. Getting your Stanley Cup ring. Nothing but an extremely amicable parting. All the best in your career, and we'll see you down the road. Burakovsky's out of here. Of course, we got to also think about Rodin, maybe even Lindell. Yeah, next season will be a big offseason in terms of contracts. We got to keep all that in mind. All expiring. I believe Bjorn Fott can definitely get it. Oh, let me go to the top of the list. Excuse me. Bouchard's going to get qualified right now. I'm not even thinking about signing him today. Got to wait till July 1st. Qualify, we'll get back to you. Benoit Olivier Grou, he wants 2.4 million. He's a fourth line guy. He was okay, not great, but he was okay. I'm going to go ahead and release him because I think we can get a cheaper option for the fourth line. Thank you for your time. Erik Karlsson now. For 1 year, he'd be asking for 5.225. 85% would be 4.5 million. We can definitely afford it, but it's still a July 1st consideration. So I'm going to take the risk on Erik Karlsson. I'm going to let him walk to free agency with the intention of signing him as our stopgap if necessary to fill in, and I'll explain it later on. But I'll release him for the time being with the understanding that we will be circling back. Kniazev now, I like him very much. I would like to keep him long-term, even if he's our 7th D long-term. He slots into the lineup very nicely. 3 years at 2.7 is very reasonable. He's always been a good simulation guy for us. 85% is 2.295. So 3 years at 2.3 million, I think that's a fair deal. And if it ends up that he's on the bench too much, in the press box too much, then we can always trade him, and that's a digestible number. Owen Pickering should be a full-time guy for us on the third pair. We could go 3 years, wow, and keep him as an RFA. Or we could, I don't want to cheese it 8x3. No, that wouldn't make sense. So I'll do 3 years to keep him as an RFA. 85% is 1.89. So I think 3x2 is very fair. 2 million per season, $6 million for Owen Pickering to play third pair and maybe grow into more. Thank you very much. Philip Bouchard had a great rookie season. He's up to an 80 overall. We could do 3 years of RFA eligibility for him. So I think we'll do the exact same thing. 3 years at 2 million for Philip Bystedt. Yeah, 85% is 1.93, so 3x2 for Bystedt makes a lot of sense in my mind. Bjornfot was really good when he was called upon, but no, we can't do 2 million for a guy who may even end up being an 8th D, right? So Bjornfot, I will qualify you, and hopefully you come down to a league minimum desire sooner rather than later. Kirk, just an AHL guy. Most of these guys, AHL guys, I'll take care of them off screen. I think most of them will end up walking. Prospects, I'll sign everyone. I'll even sign Dax Williams just for the Deep Space Nine memes. Dax, get in there. I'll sign all the prospects. Most of these AHL guys will be released. Unsigned players, anyone that we're signing yet? Ranta, yeah, he definitely gets signed, right? He has to. I'm going to leave him for now in case any assistant general managers have something to say about it. I don't think it really makes a big difference whether we sign him now or on day 1 of the preseason. So just in case someone has some burning thought about, no, we need to leave him unsigned because this player, blah, 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 I'll leave him for the time being. Especially he was the 8th overall pick, not the 1st overall pick. There's not a ton of pressure that tells us we have to sign him today. So let's advance today and see what everybody has to say. Kniazev signs on, Pickering, Bystedt, they all sign on. Lovely. So we still have 27.7 million to play with, and I'll take care of most of these other expiring guys. All right, so advancing a day forward, most of those AHL guys have all been taken care of. Now we got to think about the goaltending. Still with 27 million to play with. Linus Ullmark, I think a 1-year deal is fair for him because we're going to have Lindbergh. Hornqvist is in the system. Habschied is in the system. Bopti, I'm not really thinking about too much, but Jesus Foy I'm also considering. So Foy will get his contract. Habschied, I'm not sure if we'll sign him just yet. Maybe we're going to wait for him to continue growing. Hornqvist is definitely the starter down in the AHL, but I don't think that anyone's necessarily ready to take the starting role. I think that anyone that we take in free agency might be a bit of a risk, while Ullmark, although he struggled in the first half of the season, he's been amazing ever since the second half of the year and carried us to that Stanley Cup. So I think a 1-year deal would make a lot of sense. 3.6, 85% is 3.06. So let's go, let's be fair here. 3.250 for our Stanley Cup winning goaltender. 1 year, let's see if he likes that. I'll go ahead and give Jesus Foy a contract. He has high overall for his age, despite his potential not being anything too crazy. He is a 71 at 19 years of age. Mason Bopti, Bopi, whatever you want to call him. He is 23 years of age, former 4th round pick. Medium backup potential, not the worst overall. But, if it's going to be Hornqvist and Foy in the AHL, maybe Habschied's playing around in there. There's no room for Mason. So I'm going to have to let him go. Despite him being a decent prospect, I think releasing him would make the most sense. So we'll get those two signed on. Let's advance today. Ullmark, baby. Come on. Easy decision. There we go. Same for Michelli, Foy. There we go. All right. So the goaltending is taken care of. We have 25.5 to play with. I think all of our AHL guys have been taken care of as well. Yeah, just Bouchard and Bjornfot remaining as the qualified players. So all the scouts have also been re-signed. We can now advance to July 1st. And here we are on the 1st of July, 2027. As always, the very first thing I'll do is go into the scouting, coaching staff, hire staff screen, hire all better scouts, see what I can do there. And then the moment of truth, headed into free agency, we'll see who's available. All right, so it ended up that there were no new scouts to sign on, so that went very quickly. We can also check out the contract extensions here on July 1st. Woo, baby. Chaz Lucius wants $10.5 million. Yeah, we can't sign him long-term right now. Jonathan Drouin, after a career year, wants... Yeah, we can't sign either of those guys right now. But we would have, what, $42 million to play with? Yeah, we have $42.46 million to re-sign Lucius, Drouin... Who else? Lindell, Rodin. Lindell would be looking at 5.5 right now. Definitely reasonable. Maybe a 2 or 3 year type of thing. Rodin, I would like to extend now, but we could go 3 years as an RFA at 6.5, or long term in like the 7-ish million range. Okay. Keeping all that in mind. And Bouchard, by the way, his contract demand is 5 by 5.5 here on July 1st. Now, the big question, who is in free agency and does their name start with Quinn and end in Hughes? Here we go, 2027 draft class. He's here. Quinn Hughes wants a 7-year deal paying him $14.5 million per year. $15 million getting eaten up right there. Like, let's just say next year we said $42.4 million. 42.4. Let's say we want to make sure we get Quinn Hughes. It costs us $15.25 million. Okay? Then we come to our expiring contracts. I think Chaz Lucius will come back down to earth. We have him as an RFA. Let's say he costs $8.75. Okay? Then we have Drouin, Lindell. I think the biggest piece out of all these would be Rodin. Let's say he costs about $7 million. That leaves us $11.4 million, not necessarily to re-sign Drouin and Lindell, but to get a middle 6 forward and a top 4D. If we have Quinn Hughes, we don't need a top 4D, but it leaves us with $11.4 million to dedicate to some goaltending, to get middle 6 forward, some depth help. It wouldn't be impossible. It'd be a bit tight. Let's say the goaltending ends up costing us, maybe out of that 11.4 takes another $3 million if our prospects want to start getting paid. And then depth guys, it would be a bit tight. I see how the numbers would work, but I also see how they would be very difficult. And that's also just a lot of money to tie up long term. 7 years at 15.25. Those are numbers you don't see in today's world. So in 2027, those are some big numbers. So after much debate and discussion over in the Discord server, I think we've come to a consensus that we're going to at least send out an offer to Quinn Hughes for his production, 60, 70 points per season, how he would fit into our lineup. His ask is a lot, but compared to what the salary cap is at $99.5 million, in terms of the league itself, there are only 4 other defensemen who are 91 overall or higher. He is a top piece, a top producing piece. There's a lot of reasons why we would want to have him. The other 2 teams that are interested in signing him are Vancouver, who want to keep him on board. They have $26.6 million in cap space, and the Toronto Maple Leafs, who have $16.69. So maybe the Maple Leafs are in a bit of a tighter spot because they'll have contracts to do next season, etc. But I'd say we're probably competing with Vancouver right now. If he wants to stay in the Pacific Division, he comes down to the US of A. He comes with a team that is just fresh off winning a Stanley Cup, where he can be a top paired guy. Quinn Hughes, I'm going to send you an offer, buddy. He wants 7 years. No, we can't. It would be nice to go 6 years at $13 million and say, oh, well, it's $1 million over his asking. But no, they're going to be, both the Maple Leafs and the Canucks are going to be giving him 7 at 14.5, 14.8, 15. So we got to go 7 years, unfortunately. As nice as it would be to go like, 1 year, 18 million, then next year extend him for 12. We got to keep it realistic, and I got to go 7 years. I don't want to go too much because I don't want to be, like, if I could do 15, I don't want to do 15.3, but we want to make sure that it's a deal that he considers, right? I'm not saying it would be the end of the world if we didn't get him, but it would be great if we did, you know? There's a lot of reasons why we'd want to have him, and I don't mind tying up so much money in the defense because our forwards like Bedard, Eklund, this new guy Ranta, they're not costing us too much as of now, even as of the next few years. We have him extended at good price tags. So I'm going to go ahead and send it. 7 years, $15.25 million. We just got Carlson and Couture out of here who were costing more than that combined. So Quinn Hughes, I'm currently considering my options. I'll get back to you later. Thank you, Quinn. We will be in touch. Looking at other UFAs who are available out here, if we sort by overall, Nikita Kucherov, of course, crazy to see him out here. He wants a one-year deal, so that would be very tempting to say, hey, let's get Kucherov in here, 1 year, 58 goals last season, let's run it back, win another Stanley Cup. But it just doesn't make sense. We have a full top six. We have a team that was amazing last season. On top of the fact that we'd only have about $10 million left if we do sign Quinn Hughes. Yeah, no one else really wants a one-year contract out here. So looking at the defense, I believe Brett Pesce is available. He was someone that we considered as well. Even a one-year deal for Victor Hedman was something we had considered. But if Quinn Hughes does sign on and our top four becomes Hughes, Kalinin, Rodin, and Lindell, the third pair can be Kniazev and Pickering. We will not need Erik Karlsson, he has two teams interested in him at 5.6. So it would probably make more sense to let Erik Karlsson walk, let him get his 6 million somewhere else, where he will play top four, as opposed to us trying to lowball him, give him third pair minutes, whatever. We got him his cup. Thank you for your time here in San Jose, your years and years with the franchise. We will be moving on from Erik Karlsson. We have offered a contract to Quinn Hughes. Actually, let me go back in and see if there's any high potential players. Any young players in medium top six? Kulich, he is 23 years of age. Yuri Kulich. Okay, so we get a former first round pick. Yeah, I'll sign a few guys for the AHL here. I'll take care of a few depth type of things. Who were the goaltenders who ended up being available in this draft? Saint-Jacques, medium elite, 19-year-old goalie. Bernard Saint-Jacques. How about that? I would love to sign Bernard Saint-Jacques. That would be really something. Medium elite, 19-year-old goaltender, undrafted. That's a cool story. But we have enough goalies in the system. Let another team get him. Dosa ends up going to free agency. Merzlikins, DiPietro, Binnington. Yeah, I'm happy with Allmark. I don't think there's any other signings to make at the moment. If Quinn Hughes does sign, then we can consider a move away from Evan Bouchard. So let's start simulating. I don't have any scouts to sign on. I sent an offer to one by accident, but we don't need him. There we go. Ed Sanchez. Sorry about that. Quinn Hughes, buddy, are you signing in San Jose for 15.25, or will we move elsewhere? It's a lot of money. Initially, everyone in the Discord server said that was way too much. Let's pass on him. I can't see who's interested in him now, but there are 4 other teams aside from us who are interested in Quinn Hughes. Initially, a lot of people said it was way too much. Then I spoke about his production, and people turned really quick saying, yeah, he is him. Let's get him. Quinn Hughes, buddy, moment of truth. Are you a San Jose Shark? Quinn, welcome to San Jose! I was extremely happy to accept your offer. I'm truly humbled that you chose to offer me such a lucrative contract. I won't let you down. You've really helped set me up financially. Quinn, buddy, thank you. Thank you. Welcome to San Jose. That definitely puts us in the front of the pack for repeating as Stanley Cup champions. It's a lot of money, unfortunately, but I really think that he will be worth it. It's just that it may force us to make some moves further down the road. So now, heading into next season, we'll have $28.2 million to play with. Hopefully, Lucius and Rodin can be under $20 million combined. I think they should be. That'll leave us with $8, $9, $10 million for some other pieces. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. So Evan Bouchard, instead of having him play third pair, getting paid $5 million, I think we'll be looking for a trade to move him elsewhere. So taking a look around the NHL, we could basically get a second and a fourth or 2/3 from any team that would be interested in Bouchard just to trade away his rights. It also wouldn't be a horrible idea if we sign and trade him. That would be another thing. I'm not sure if that would increase his value. That's a tough one because sometimes a player that costs too much for too long will be reduced in value. So you know what? I'm going to take a risk here and not sign him yet and try to trade him to the Tampa Bay Lightning. A second and a third seems to be the best option that we've got. So the Lightning, who now may be without Kucherov and Hedman moving forward, that could be a couple of good picks for us right there. Could I even make it into a first if I were to trade you a little something as well? Can I get a first-round pick out of Evan Bouchard? I think the value's off, so I have a couple thirds this next season. Can I give you a third and a fourth the next year? Does that get us close at all? Bouchard, a third and a fourth? Too far off? Probably a final offer would be 2/3. Tampa, what do you say to this? Rejected, a bit low for us. Do I want to trade up 2/3 to a first with Evan Bouchard? Or do I want to just take a second and a third for Bouchard himself? Basically, in the next 2 years of drafts, do I want a first this year, 2 seconds this year, 2 thirds this year, and then my own third next year? Or do I want to take a first this year, another first of my own this year, but then I lose out on my third this year and a third next year, and I just have also 1 second and all that stuff? You know what? I'm going to go for the first, because they might have a bad season without Kucherov and Hedman, and worst case, it's easier to trade up with a first than trading up with a second. So could I give you a sixth as well to make it happen? 2/3 and a sixth with the rights to Evan Bouchard to Tampa Bay for their first round pick. Trade accepted. Thank you very much. Evan, buddy, good luck over in Tampa Bay. He was disrespected by the Edmonton Oilers for about, like a whole season. Now he's going to be able to play on a Lightning team where they need someone on the blue line without Victor Hedman. He'll play second pair minutes, exactly what he wanted and wasn't getting with us, or wasn't going to be getting with us. He came to San Jose after being disrespected by the Oilers. 3 full seasons with the Sharks. Solid offensive numbers, 20, 30 points, consistently around 30. He was a plus 29 last year. Had a lot of ice time at 23.5 plus minutes per night. Has a Stanley Cup ring to show for it. And it wasn't a bad ask. He was just a victim of circumstance. We already have Lindell signed on. He might be leaving after this season. I'd rather keep Lindell, who's already signed on, and consider moving Lindell next season, as opposed to having Lindell maybe move now, but we already had him under contract. Bouchard needs a new contract. Then if he signed with us a 5x5 and we traded him after 1 year, wouldn't be as realistic, probably no movement clause, etc., etc., etc. So I think that's all we have to do for this offseason at the moment. Bouchard's traded away. Quinn Hughes is on board. We had a solid draft. Nothing. I'm going to touch up the AHL, see if there's anyone to sign for the minor league team. Check out the roster and see if there's anyone that we want to add through free agency, any good young players. But aside from that, I will see you at the beginning of the preseason when we have a better idea of how this squad will look. On top of minor league help, I think I'm also going to send out a contract to Tyler Bouchard, who former 10th overall selection in the 2021 draft from Ottawa. 2-star puck skills, 3-star senses, but 4-star shooting, 4-star defense, 4.5-star physical. He could be a good fourth-line guy for us. And worst case, I don't know, our current fourth-line winger options are our 78 overall guys in the AHL. So if they don't make it, I wouldn't mind having Boucher on the team. I'm going to go 1 year. 1 year, $1 million. Keeps him as an RFA. Really just a prove-it-to-me kind of deal. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I wouldn't mind having him as a bit of a safety net for the fourth line in case we don't end up rolling with Tanguay, Weisblatt, Tuomala, all those guys who are always in that 78 overall range. But I'll take care of the rest of the minor league signings. Then we'll get to the start of the preseason. And Tyler Boucher did accept that offer, so we will have him as a fourth-line player. All right, so here we are for the beginning of the 2027-28 preseason, year number 6. The top 6 remains unchanged. Lucius, Bedard, and Buchnevich on the top line, 89, 91, and 89 overall, respectively. Second line, Drouin, Hertl, and Eklund, all at 88 overall. Beautiful. Love to see that. The overall has not dropped. The performance has maintained it, coming off of a career season, especially for Drouin. Third line, I'd like to try Philip Bystedt in the top 9. After last year, he scored 35 points in his rookie season as a fourth liner, getting less than 9 minutes a night. I'd like to see him on the third line with Cody Glass, who's at an 87 overall. Amazing. 2 years left on his great deal that we got him on. And Cole Lind also an 86 with 2 years left on his deal. So I like that top 9 a lot. Fourth line, I'm thinking Larry Tanguay with Luke Cunnin as fourth line center. He's been a trooper this whole series. And Samu Tuomala, who could maybe come in on the fourth line. Or do we bring in Ranta, and that changes things up, but that would be the current bottom 6. Defense, not great chemistry on the first pair, as Hughes and Lindell don't have any, but I think it would be realistic to say let's throw in like a hitting or a shot blocking X factor to Lindell, and that would give them some chemistry. Not to cheese the system, but let's award credit where credit is due. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Or we could think about getting a first pair right D, potentially Brett Pesce, as many people had suggested. We did not end up getting him in free agency. I thought it was a bit much to go with $7.5 million. He ended up signing for 5.59 with the Canadians, so we'll consider that towards the end of this episode. Rodin and Kalinin are both 84 overall with the +5s. Amazing. They're going to be playing 89 overalls out here. Looking forward to huge things from our young second pair. Kniazev and Pickering, they've been a good pair for a long while now. +1, they're both 81 overall. Goaltending, we have Allmark at an 83, backed up by Lindbergh at a 79. Scratches, we see Gushin, and Tyler Boucher both as, and even Weisblatt. Sorry, I should have put Tyler Bouchard on the fourth line, actually. I totally forgot about him being in here. So Tyler Bouchard is an 80 overall, would probably replace Twamala. So Boucher, Cunnin, and Tanguay as the fourth line with Gushin, Weisblatt, and Twamala, all 78 overalls, who will be trying to fight for 13th forward. Defensively, we don't have a 7th D up here, but our 7th D on the season would be Bjornfot, who I sent a contract to. He's an 80 overall. We also have Jinning at a 79. Kiviharju only grew 1 overall. He's at a 78. Carson Lambo's also in the system now, but I doubt he'll really grow. But Kiviharju will play top pair. He's at a 78 at the age of 21. Other forwards, we've seen the AHL. Riley's still a 77. Not much else. Frederick Carlson, who has a 70s up to a 75. That's great. Nothing else really there. Goaltending, Hornqvist grew to a 77, and Jesus Foy is at a 73. Now, looking at the unsigned players, I'll be curious to see these overalls. Ranta still an 82 overall, now at the age of 18. Ricky Brain is a 71 at the age of 20. The offensive defenseman. We could get him in the AHL. Sorry, the two-way D. We get him in the AHL. No one else that I'd really sign there. And for the goalies, Habshi's up to a 74 at the age of 19. So what do we do with the goaltending? Do we bring Hornqvist up at a 77? Do we put Habshid as his backup at a 74? Do we keep him over in the U.S. development system? What about Ranta? Do we keep him playing over in Finland, or do we bring him over to the NHL? Do we even sign him and play him in the AHL perhaps? Because, I wouldn't be unexpected of an 8th overall pick. Samu Ranta, tough. So I would love to get Samu Ranta in the lineup, though. 5-star shooting, but then Bystedt gets pushed down, and then we'd have to trade some of those 78 overall guys. It would definitely be a domino effect, so we'd have to keep all of that in consideration. Moving into 2027-28, without Couture, without Carlson, I'm not going to name a captain just yet. That'll be for all of you to add your input to. So I'll keep it as probably, I guess Bedard probably has an A. I'll just throw them out there for the moment. Let's put an A on Bedard, an A on Hurdle, and let's throw an A on, I don't know, just Lindell for the time being. We'll decide that. Do we want to run 3 alternates? If yes, who are they? Or do we want to give out the captaincy here in 2027-28? Next thoughts we have to consider would be about the X factors. We can add up to 3 X factors on up to 3 players. I'll add X factors to other players around the league, but for our own players, should we add some to Lucius and Drouin, I would think? Do we add maybe some to Cody Glass, who's an 87? He's a monster. Do we add any to Esa Lindell to help him out for the chemistry? Doesn't have to be 3 players, but up to 3 X factors on up to 3 players, and what would they be? Now looking at the trade blocks headed into the preseason, of course, I doubt we're making many trades right now, but just to keep these names in mind moving forward, Hall on the block in Anaheim, we see it sorting by overall, C-Mac, Martinek in Arizona, Taylor Hall, Schmaltz, Anderson, Milano, Evgeny Sveshnikov, Strome, DeBrusk, and many more on the block in Boston. Buffalo has prospects. Calgary has mostly prospects. Carolina, nobody. Chicago, Seth Jones, Travis Dermott, Manson, Dickinson, Dewar. Prospects in Colorado, Columbus, Mahura and company. Leo Carlson and other prospects in Dallas. Detroit, Kopp, Grzelcyk, Hedman, and Klingberg. Edmonton, Sharangovich, and Nugent Hopkins, both on 2-year deals. Florida, Puljujarvi on a 4-year deal. Mantha, Brown, Bertuzzi, Knizov, Dunn, many players on the block. Many on expiring deals as well in Florida. LA, we see Velarde, Fiala, Kempe, Joseph, Dursey, Lizotte, many there. Minnesota, McNabb, Montreal, just prospects. Of course, keep in mind Brett Pesce on the Montreal Canadiens. I wouldn't mind trading for him. Maybe we swap Lindell and we give some value. Pesce signed for 3 more years at 5.95. If I knew he would sign for that much, I would have been more inclined to take him. He was wanting like 7.25 in free agency, which I thought would have been too much for 3 years. Do we consider going after Brett Pesce, another right-handed D, or maybe we just keep what we have or adding X factors to Esa Lindell? Maybe even we bump up Kalinin, make Kalinin and Hughes play together, and that's a +5 right there. Prospects in New Jersey, no one in Nashville, no one on the Islanders. Prospects for the Rangers, Batherson, Formenton, Norris, Brandstrom, Kreider, and many more in Ottawa. Philadelphia prospects, Pittsburgh, Sheary, Kane, Rust, Toffoli, all on expiring deals. Seattle has Nachas on an expiring deal. McCann, Bjorkstrand, Comfer, and Wenberg multi-year deals. St. Louis prospects, Tampa Bay prospects, Toronto prospects, Vancouver prospects, Vegas, Theodore, Carrier, Evans, Lindstrom, and Voracek. Washington, nobody. Winnipeg, Dubois, Silverberg, and Anderson. All right. There are the trade blocks around the NHL if we want to keep any of those in mind moving forward. I think the absolute last thing to do would be to consider any contract extensions that we may want to send out. Many may be too costly for the moment. We do want to keep them in mind. Chaz Lucius, he was wanting 10, 12 million. He still wants around that. Yeah, he still wants a lot of money. Jonathan Drouin would be wanting the same thing still. And Rodin looking at 6.5, yeah, in the high fives. Esa Lindell, if we were to re-sign him, yeah, it'll be less expensive than Brett Pesce, but he's 2 overall less. You know, I could see the argument for getting Brett Pesce. If I knew he was signed for that much, I would have loved to have gotten him out in free agency. I know many of you were calling for him in the comments in the Discord server. I just didn't want to commit like over 20 million to just 2 defensemen when our defense is already quite solid. It's, you know, maybe we like Pesce right now, but we wouldn't like him in the future. Because if Kalinin quickly grows to 86, 88, does he stay as a long-term guy on the second pair with Rodin getting the +5 and it's supplemented with special teams? Or does he eventually move up to play with Hughes and get a +5 there? Hughes playing like a 96, right? But I'm sure he would also get a boost if Lindell were to get some X factors. So as much as I like Rodin and Kalinin playing together and they are the future, they were supposed to be the heirs to the throne here, getting +5s themselves on the top pair. Now Quinn Hughes is a part of the franchise and we need to try and factor that in. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the 2027 draft and off-season. Many questions. We've got the captaincies. We've got the defense pairings. We've got the unsigned prospects. We've got the other players that we could trade for. We have the extensions. Many questions headed into what will be our Stanley Cup defending 6th season at the helm of the Sharks. What were your thoughts on the off-season moves? I understand the arguments for both sides and Quinn Hughes especially, but I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts down in the comments section. Leave a like if you enjoyed the off-season, as well as a comment with all of your suggestions and thoughts. What do you think your predictions might be for this 2027-28 season? Be sure to join us over on the Discord server, link in the description if you haven't already, as that's where all of these live discussions are happening whenever there's questions mid-recording for a franchise mode episode. And of course, if you haven't subscribed already, we would love to have you join in on the team here, becoming an assistant general manager and being made aware of all of our uploads when they go live for franchise mode, career simulations, breaking news and analysis in the real world of hockey, and much, much more. So I'll stop there. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the off season. Very excited to read your thoughts about it and what we'll be doing moving forward. And I can't wait to see you again in the next one when we will begin our trek back to another Stanley Cup title.